Today's video is basically three of my most favorite poetry books of all time that are also a very good choice if you are a beginner to reading poems. I have some poetry recommendations for you that are contemporary, first of all, that are relevant to the current world. You'll realize what I'm talking about, and that are more or less comparatively easier to get into. I mean, the language is easy, but it's very packed with meaning. So, in my opinion, these are some of the best options if you want to get into poetry. So, the first book I want to talk about is called Night Sky with No Exit Wounds. This is by Ocean Vuong. You have been following me in any of my social medias. You know what Ocean Vuong means to me, what this book means to me. This is also one of my first poetry books that I read before I was a literature major or something. This is a contemporary poetry collection by Ocean Vuong, and Ocean Vuong typically writes these very easy but very sensitive poems about very sensitive issues, but it's not like he uses very big or very difficult words. He uses very simple or very regular words, but the way he portrays the emotions through these words, you don't have to be a literary genius to understand them or to feel them. So, to make you guys understand what I'm talking about, I'm going to read one of my favorite poems by him. It is called Untitled, Blue, Green, and Brown. This is by Ocean Vuong in his book Night Sky with No Exit Wounds. This specific poem is about war and its effect on obviously the people who don't have anything to do with the war but who suffer most from war. The TV said the planes have hit the buildings, and I said yes, because you asked me to stay. Maybe we pray on our knees because the Lord only listens when we're this close to the devil. There is so much I want to tell you. How my greatest accolade was to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge and not think of flight. How we live like water, touching a new tongue with no letting what we've been through. They say the sky is blue, but I know it's black, seen through too much air. You will always remember what we were doing when it hurts the most. There is so much I want to tell you, but I only earned one life and I took nothing. Nothing. Like a pair of teeth at the end. The TV kept saying, the planes, and I stood waiting in the room, made from broken mockingbirds, their wings throbbing into four blurred walls. Only you were there. You were the window. Next book I want to talk about is called Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mosab Abu Toha. This book is about living under siege in the occupied Palestinian land of Gaza. And this poet, who I think he migrated to the US, but he lived through so many conflicts between Israel and Palestine. And these are the poems that were born out of those conflicts. And I just think I feel very sensitive talking about this book or even rating this book because this feels like so much a raw wound, and I just want everybody to read it. It is criminally underrated in all the review platform, be it on Goodreads or Storygraph. I just think more people should read it and just, I don't know, hype this book up because it's a beautiful work of literature. I want to read this poem that is titled by the name of the book, Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear, by Mosab Abu Toha. When you open my ear, touch it gently. My mother's voice lingers somewhere inside. Her voice is the echo that helps recover my equilibrium when I feel dizzy during my attentiveness. You may encounter songs in Arabic, poems in English I recite to myself, or a song I chant to the chirping birds in our backyard. When you stitch the cut, don't forget to pull all these back in my ear. Put them back in order, as you would do with books on your shelf. The drone's buzzing sound, the roar of an F-16, the screams of bombs falling on houses on fields, and on bodies, of rockets flying away. Rid my small ear canal of them all. Spray the perfume of your smiles on the incision. Inject the song of life into my veins to wake me up. Gently beat the drum so my mind may dance with yours. My doctor, day and night. Please read this book. Please shelve this book in your Goodreads or Storygraph so it gets more exposure than it has, and just I think just more people should read it. It is also a very good point for your introduction to poetry, because as you can see, the language is comparatively very easy, but the topics that are something that every single one of us should be aware of, should think about every single day, every single moment. So yeah, Things You May Find Hidden in My Ear by Mosab Abu Toha. So the next book I want to talk about is by another one of my favorite poets, who is called none other than Mary Oliver. I talk about her all the time to people in my real life, to my real life friends. I cannot stop recommending her to every single person in my life. So the book I want to mention here is called New and Selected Poems, Volume 1. This is the book that I first read by Mary Oliver. I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to read her poems in her separate poetry books. I read all the poems together in one collection, and still it's not a big book. It's like 180 pages, and her poems are very concise and short. So if you're someone who is a beginner in poetry, it's a great place to check out. And there's a reason why she's so celebrated across the world. She writes with such beautiful delicacy, and just her poems are just so soft. I don't know how else to describe it. They're very soft and very warm and just very, I mean, she doesn't say much, but she says a lot, if that makes sense. And I would like to read you one of my favorite poets from this book that I loved so much. It's called A Bitterness by Mary Oliver. I believe you did not have a happy life. I believe you were cheated. I believe your best friends were loneliness and misery. I believe your busiest enemies were anger and depression. I believe joy was a game you could never play without stumbling. I believe comfort, though you craved it, was forever a stranger. I believe music had to be melancholy or not at all. I believe no trinket, no precious metal shone so bright as your bitterness. I believe you lay down at last in your coffin, none the wiser, and unassuaged. Oh, cold and dreamless under the wild, immoral, reckless, peaceful flowers of the hillsides. I wish I could make an entire video of reciting Mary Oliver poems, because there are so many more I want to talk about. There's another one called A Wild Geese, or just Wild Geese. It's a very popular one, which is why I didn't feature this here, but that is also another one of my most favorite poems, and it's just something that I think about constantly, and you should too, because it's so beautiful, so mesmerizing, and it's very easy to understand. So if you're a beginner, this is a great place to check out poetry. So yeah, New and Collected Poems, Volume 1 by Mary Oliver. All right, so those are the poems I wanted to talk to you guys about, poetry books I wanted to talk to you guys about. Let me know if you read any of these books and you enjoy it, and let me know if you have any favorite poets or favorite poetry books that I should check out. So until next time, bye.